Oh gosh. What's up? I'm Shanice and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is the 5th and final episode of my cycle syncing series. I will have all of the previous videos linked down below, but for now, I'll do a quick summary. So in episode 1, we talked about what cycle syncing is, and it's basically just the practice in which you alter your diet, your lifestyle, and activities according to whatever menstrual phase you're in. In the second episode, we talked about the follicular phase. In the third episode, we discussed ovulation. Then in the fourth episode, we talked about the luteal phase, and the corpus luteum retracts and stops producing progesterone, which triggers your period. Now that you're all caught up, let's talk about the menstrual phase. Okay, let's do a quick backstory. So I got my period the summer before 5th grade, so I was about 10 years old. And anytime anyone congratulated me on my quest for womanhood, it sounded more like a good luck wish. Like, hope your cramps aren't too bad. They were. Hope your parents can handle your mood swings. They couldn't. I never really heard any positivity around periods. I think the only time I heard anything positive was when someone thought they were pregnant and didn't want to be. And then they got the period and suddenly they were so grateful for it. And I was just like, and honestly, it wasn't until I discovered cycle syncing and then my daughter became that age where we needed to discuss periods that I was realizing that I wanted to change my mindset about periods. We're gonna have a period for literally decades. Instead of deprecating it or finding it inconvenient, why not love our body and appreciate the amazing things that our bodies are capable of doing? Luckily, I've been on my hormonal journey for a little bit, so I had the resources and the tools to kind of shift my mindset about periods. Therefore, I could shift her mindset about periods. So we were brainstorming, thinking of like period trackers just for whenever that day does come. And we were looking on Pinterest and we were shook. There was things like bloody hell, Shark Week, or Satan's waterfall. And my daughter was so confused because she's like, why are they saying all these things? Like, why is it so negative? And I was like, that's just kind of the culture and how my generation or how a lot of people were raised is to think negatively about periods. That's when I realized that I don't really badmouth my period ever. You know, I am genuinely grateful to have a period every single month, to know that my body is working and doing what it's supposed to be doing. Just imagining that if I knew everything that I knew now about my period or about my body, how much easier and more convenient my life would have been. And that's really it. I just want my daughter and her friends or even adults to have the resources and the tools to have a more manageable period. And especially, you know, teens and tweens, have that from the start. Have that be all you know is cycle syncing, and have that be all you know is being in tune with your body and knowing what it needs and what it doesn't. I want to shift that period mindset from it being painful or inconvenient to it really being just another week in your month. So the menstrual phase is your bleeding phase, and this lasts between 4 to 7 days. Now this is in comparison to the winter. During the winter, the nights are longer and the days are shorter and colder, so it kind of prompts us to go inside and initiates rest. The same is with your menstrual phase. Essentially, we're retreating, turning inward, and slowing down. All right, let's discuss the progress of our little egg. So in the follicular phase, we talked about how the follicle developed the egg, and in the ovulation phase, we talked about how the egg was released and the corpus luteum kind of retracted and starts producing progesterone. Meanwhile, your egg is traveling through the fallopian tubes and into the uterus, and if the egg hasn't been fertilized, the egg will disintegrate and old blood and tissue within the endometrium, or your uterus lining, is shed through the vagina, and that is your period. Progesterone is a pregnancy hormone, so obviously we're not pregnant, so that kind of ceases or it slows down. And as for estrogen, estrogen does peak, but then it dips as well. During your menstrual phase, you are losing a fair amount of blood, and therefore your energy is going to be naturally low. We want to honor and respect our low energy during this week. You know, back in the day, women would separate themselves from their tribe or community and really take that time to rest and tap into their intuition. Obviously, we cannot do that these days, and no one is going to make sure you get that rest. So it's really up to you to find that time or to make that time for yourself. Whether it's the ride home from work and you're listening to calming, soothing music, or just kind of taking it slower in other areas, like maybe making simpler meals for dinner. We're really conscious and taking intentional deep breaths throughout the day. We're making sure that we're slowing down and taking care of ourselves. As for any projects this week, it's really ideal to sit back, reflect, and analyze. So in the follicular phase, we talked about brainstorming and planning your project. Then in the ovulation phase, we talked about acting or doing your project. Then in the luteal phase, we talked about adding details or any finishing touches. During your menstrual phase, we're sitting back and analyzing. We're seeing what worked and what needs some adjusting. Socially, during this week, you may not feel up for parties or brunch or anything like that, and that's definitely normal. Now is the time to turn inward and reflect on your life even. Once again, see what's working for you, see what you need to improve. If there is an idea or an issue that keeps popping up during your menstrual phase, it's not your imagination. This is your intuition really tapping in and becoming clear. This would happen to me at one of my jobs, and every single month I would just be thinking, I need to get out of here, or what is my plan? But then I'd think, this is just not my time yet. But it was very clear every single month that this was an issue that kept coming up. And it's just so amazing that that connection to my mind and my body was happening every single month. All right, so active rest is suggested during this week. If you don't know what active rest is, it's basically just taking it down. Just movement that is less intense than your usual workout. Think walking or stretching or yin yoga, the yoga that focuses more on your breathing and mindfulness. Another suggested activity is napping. Alyssa Vitti considers napping an activity during your menstrual phase. You might find yourself naturally fatigued or more tired during this time. It's completely natural. Obviously, like, we're losing blood, our hormone levels are low, things are just at their lowest. And this is your body's way of saying, slow down. If you can nap, please do. But if you can't nap, it's important to try to go to bed early or sleep in just a little bit longer. You really want to respect your energy level during this time. Don't push yourself. We are supporting the menstrual process by restoring the blood and the kidneys with blood building and easily digestible foods. We're looking for low glycemic foods that will help stabilize our blood sugar. Of course, we're looking for iron-rich and zinc-rich foods because we are losing blood, which is made of those things. And we are also looking for foods with vitamin C to help our body absorb the iron. Ideally, we would want warming and comforting foods to help renew and energize us. And we're also looking to hydrate, so water-rich foods as well. As I've said before, Alyssa Vitti has a list of suggested foods in her book, or you can look it up online, just kind of Google whatever phase you're in, and I'm sure some foods will come up. But I have taken those foods and I have turned them into meals, so let's get started. So for breakfast, I went with flaxseed pancakes topped with bananas and coconut flakes. Flaxseed not only has manganese, copper, thiamine, and magnesium, it's also got omega-3s for hormone building, amino acids for protein building, and it also has both the soluble and insoluble fiber, so it feeds your good gut bacteria and it helps keep you full for longer. It also has estrogen properties, so it helps replenish anything that was lost. I added bananas because they're high in B6, which helps produce red blood cells. It's got potassium for bloating and water retention. And it also has magnesium for digestion and tryptophan for your mood. For snack, I went with cranberry bars. We've got our B vitamins and our healthy fats from our nuts. I added chia seed. That helps you stay fuller longer as well. What's cool about the cranberry antioxidants is that it helps lower cholesterol and fight cancer. Moving on to lunch. For lunch, I had ramen noodles. I had my vegetables, and then I added kale. Kale is an iron-rich food. Kale contains magnesium, it has vitamin B, it helps stabilize your blood sugar. I just had regular broth, but if you had bone broth, it would be even better because it's got vitamin A, K, C, and it also helps with bloating and kind of fills you in with that comforting food that we are looking for this week. I also added seaweed. Seaweed is high in manganese, which helps control your blood sugar. Seaweed is an excellent source of calcium, iodine, and zinc. For dinner, I went with an Asian-style tofu and some veggies on the side. Tofu is an ideal food to have during this time because it does have estrogen properties, which will help you replenish whatever is lost during this phase. I added mushrooms. They have B12. It also helps with your blood levels, and it also has a low glycemic index, so it will really help stabilize your blood sugar. Now, I went with like a brown rice, white rice mixture because brown rice keeps you fuller longer, and it's a complex carb. Okay, so that's it for the menstrual phase. I hope you guys learned something new or found the recipes helpful. And I really hope that we can change our mindset around periods in a positive way, to be more comfortable with our bodies and really be more aware of our bodies. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.